Welcome to the channel. I'm here with the BYD Dolphin, and this is the active and this is the boost trim. Now last year I did a video on the comfort and design trims which came to the UK first with their 66 kilowatt hour batteries. These have the smaller 44.9 kilowatt hour batteries, and so I'm going to explain the differences between them and take them from a drive and see how they perform. Now I think these are really interesting propositions here in the UK. BYD are one of the biggest car manufacturers in the world. In the UK, they've expanded their sales over 1,900% since they launched in 2023 up to now in 2024. They have over 60 retailers here in the UK, and they're hoping to double them by next year to 120. And they make most of the batteries in your smartphone and most of the batteries in the iPads in the world. So they're a huge company, and these cars have their BYD blade batteries which you can put nails through, which can be run over by trucks, which are really safe and secure. So BYD have really been one of the companies leading the charge for China to make cars which are very competitive. In fact, arguably cars like these are a huge threat to the traditional electric car market, and you get countries like Canada adding huge tariffs to imports of electric cars from China. Now these cars are from China, but BYD are also opening factories in Hungary and Turkey, so they will be produced within Europe as well. Let's start over here with the Active. The Active has a 76 kilowatt motor which is capable of 96 horsepower, that's what it means, and it's got a range of around 211 miles. It can do 0 to 60 in around 12.5 seconds, which I might test a little bit later. And then over here with the Boost, we have a 176 horsepower motor, and that gives us a range of 192 miles, slightly less than the Active, but it is more powerful. In fact, it's about double the power, so there's quite a big jump from the 90-ish horsepower to the 170-ish horsepower on this car. But this is also a lot faster, 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. When you look at these, what are we talking about price? There's not a lot of difference in price. This is around £26,000 for the Active, and the Boost is around £27,000. So for an extra £1,000, if you want more power, you've got that option there. So really interesting. In terms of technology in them, they're very similar. In fact, there aren't any differences. They've both got full driver assist systems. They both have 360-degree camera systems, which is great. Even the cars which cost £70,000 sometimes nowadays don't come with 360-degree camera systems, so that is amazing. And they both look very similar. There are some differences between them though. At the front, both cars have the same design. We've got the BYD logo here with the black grille, and then we've got the LED lights. It's got a very cute design at the front. BYD say the Dolphin has been designed specifically for Europe to fit European roads, which might in some places be a bit narrower. And don't forget, there's also the Atto 3 and the Seal, which I have video reviews on as well, available in Europe and the UK. So there's a full family of cars here which you get. Now there are a couple of changes between the Active and the Boost. The main difference, the obvious difference, although obvious depends on how much attention you're paying, is the size of the wheels. There are 17 inches available on the Boost, whereas the Active only has 16. Although, in all honesty, I'm not sure you necessarily would notice that unless you're really looking for it. 17 definitely looks much more sporty. And let's talk about charging, because there are some differences here. On the Active model, we are only able to charge up to 7 kilowatts AC, whereas on the Boost and the Comfort and the Design, you can do up to 11 kilowatts AC. Both do 65 kilowatts of DC charging. That isn't as high as some other competitors, but it maintains it for longer, which means all of the cars are able to charge a lot faster over a period of time compared to the competition. So you wouldn't see any noticeable drop off, that means, when charging, which you get typically on electric cars. But it is interesting to note that the Active does have a limitation on the 7 kilowatts. Here in the entry Active trim, we have a lot of standard equipment, including a 360-degree surround view camera system, this really cool 12.8-inch infotainment system which has a rotating screen. This car also has a heat pump as standard, something which really helps on cold days in lots of countries. It allows the car to heat and cool the car without having to use as much battery, which is really good. And it's just a very well equipped and comfortable car. These seats are fully electric, which is something you don't necessarily get with other cars, even more expensive cars. And we've got a really nice steering wheel. We've got a small little screen here which lets us see our speed and everything else. And then we've got a nice little tray here, which is great. You can put your phone in there, exactly like that. And we've got 2 cup holders. We've got this cool little toggle which allows you to change into gear. and I like that a lot. And then we've got another tray down here which is pretty spacious, and we can turn the heating up and down like that, or we can use the screen. So inside, and there's lots of little quirky things. I like these kind of turbine designs here and at the end there, which look very, very clever. So really nice, high quality interior. I really like these seats. They're vegan, which is great. And also they have the look of more expensive bucket seats. Let's have a look at this infotainment system. So the first thing I do love is the fact that you can rotate the screen by pressing that button there, or you can do it on the steering wheel by pressing that button there. We've got the navigation, which is responsive and lets you zoom in, pinch to zoom, and change what you can see on the map. And then we can go to Spotify, so you can log into Spotify, so you've got Spotify built in. We then have radio down below, and then we've got our climate controls here. We also do have buttons down here which allow us to adjust things like volume. And then if we swipe sideways here, we can see we've got CarPlay as well, and Android Auto, and we can get into all our settings. So very easy to use, very obvious. And then we've got our BYD Assistant, which we can use. We can set a wake word. We can set it to be custom. We can go, hey BYD, it's too hot.
Okay, I've decreased the temperature by 3 degrees.
And then we can also do this mode where we have split screen mode. So you could have Spotify at the top and you can have navigation at the bottom. So nice to use. And of course, if we want to have it in this mode, we can turn it around like this. So very simple to use. I think probably, if I'm honest, if you want to have navigation and Spotify, having them on top of each other is probably a bit easier to do with a touchscreen because they're both the same distance, whereas if they're sideways, they're not. So I like that. And that's actually something which really didn't occur to me until now. When you have a traditional screen, which is this way around, and you're trying to reach across, no matter how big or small it might be, trying to hit over there when you're driving is a bit more tricky. Having them on top of each other solves that problem. So that's a thoughtful solution with a cool mechanism from BYD. Here in the back of the BYD Dolphin, we've got plenty of space above my head, plenty of space under my knees. This is my seating position. I'm 1.78 meters. We've got these really nice bucket seats. They look great from behind. We've got a cup holder here, 2 USB Type-Cs there. We've got these really nice bucket seats. We've got a cup holder, 2 USB Type-Cs there. You can bring this down in the middle and there's a cup holder there too. We've got these cool winglets, like aeroplane wing door handles at the back. Overall, it's very, very spacious and very, very comfortable back here. The only thing you get in the more expensive models is, of course, the panoramic glass roof on the design model, which brings in a lot more light. Without it, it feels a tiny bit dark back here. But of course, it's a cloudy, rainy English day, so I'm sure if it was a sunny day, it would be different. Here at the rear, we have the same design as the other trims in the line. We've got the Build Your Dreams logo on the back. We've got the sailing-inspired lights. And in terms of space back here, we've got all the exact same space as you had in the other trims, with a lot of space underneath here for your charging cables, hooks and tether points. So just what you would expect of all the other trims. The difference here with these trims are in the battery size and the range, and of course the price. What's the active trim like to drive? Well, I can tell you what, we got 95 horsepower, but it certainly doesn't feel like it's lacking for space. We've got speed bumps here. It handles them very well. They're not really causing me any discomfort. It's got plenty of poke. It feels fast to accelerate. We can place it exactly on the road because this is a car designed for narrow roads. So it is very, very easy to place. The steering is very precise. It goes around corners very well. There is, of course, differences between the different modes, between your sport, eco, and normal. In eco, it's a bit slower. You can feel it's holding back. In normal, you can feel it's a bit better, but you still feel like it's just waiting to be untied. And then you put it into sport, immediately you can feel just that extra speed. Now, considering it doesn't have as much power as a boost, I'm really impressed with how this performs. And then of course we've got all the driver assistance technology, so I can turn that on and we have full lane assist. We've got, as standard, adaptive cruise control, as standard lane assist, as standard a 360-degree camera, as standard a heat pump. There are cars which are much more expensive, Audi, that have electric cars which do not come as standard with a heat pump, yet there's one in here, and heat pumps are great for making sure your car is super efficient and able to heat and cool better using minimal battery in the summer and in the winter, of course. It's just a really, really impressive all-round car. I don't know what I'm gonna think when I get in the Boost, but I have to be honest and say to you that right now, I can't imagine why you'd want to buy a Boost over this. Anyway, let's find out. Can this car do 0 to 60 in 12.3 seconds? 95 horsepower, let's go. I'm in sport mode, foot on the accelerator, pedal to the metal. We're at Silverstone, so that's appropriate. We're at 40 miles an hour. We're at 50 miles an hour. Are we gonna get there in less than 12.3 seconds? 11.67 seconds. So that was faster than the 12.3. The truth is I've done it a few times and we've been getting between 11 and 13. So it definitely can hit the mark. In this Boost model, we have a slightly different suspension. So we have a multi-link rear suspension, which means the suspension at the rear of the car should be better. So we're coming up to a speed bump now. Let's see what happens when we go over the speed bump. Will it feel any different to the Active, which doesn't have that? Let's see. It was a bit smoother, definitely. So it definitely feels smoother over speed bumps. Let's accelerate up. Now, at the top end of this car, that 176 horsepower is obviously going to feel a lot better on the motorway when it comes to trying to overtake. Having said that, I'm not sure between 50 and 70 you notice a difference in that 176 to that 95 horsepower. I would definitely say that if you come to a slow point, so if I slow this car right down to 20 miles an hour and now I accelerate, I can definitely feel there's a lot more grunt there from standstill. So I think if you're talking about overtaking, I think you will notice that this is faster being the Boost model. In terms of everything else that it does, the adaptive cruise control, the lane assist, they all work exactly the same way. They can steer for you, they can keep you in your lane. You got no issues there. In terms of handling, it feels exactly the same. That rear suspension doesn't really change how it handles. When I'm going around corners, it feels exactly the same. So I think my conclusion here with these cars is really one of, do you want the extra power? And is it worth the extra £1,000 or so pounds? If you think it is, then go for it. However, I would say a more useful comparison would be if you want a higher trim model with better speakers, with a panoramic roof, to go from the entry level, the Active, up to the Comfort or the Design Pack, which has everything. Now that is a much bigger price jump. I would say if you're choosing between the Active and the Boost, save yourself £1,000 or whatever it is when you watch this video and get the Active. The Boost is very, very good, but really when you're sitting inside them, they feel the same, they look the same, they drive the same. There's a minor difference in the rear suspension, which you're not going to notice as an everyday person driving the car. And as for the acceleration, yeah, it's faster accelerating and better for overtaking. But is that why you're buying a BYD Dolphin? For the power and the acceleration? If so, then go for, again, for the top model, which has even more power. That would be what I would say. This Boost trim can do 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds. So let's have a go. We got 176 horsepower. Definitely a lot harder accelerating off the line. I can feel that compared to the Active. We're at 50, we're at 60, 7.24 seconds. So slightly faster than BYD say it does. Both of these cars, both of these trims are very, very good, capable cars. And if you want to know more about the comfort and the design trims, then watch my other video on the BYD Dolphin from before that I did. Otherwise, there are other videos about similar cars here and here. Please give me a like and a subscribe. Thanks for watching.